Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bonnie's 2020 Fall Series. My name is Basha, and I'm one of Bonnie's support staff team members. We are going to take just a few moments to introduce everyone behind the scenes helping to make Bonnie's online classes possible. My name is Basha, and I'm Bonnie's daughter and the project manager for Bonnie's events and projects. We have Bonnie and Len.
Hi, I'm Len, Bonnie's husband and the administrative director of the School for Body Mind Centering, and I'll be behind the scenes today. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome. I'll be in front of the scenes today.
We also have Isa.
Hi, everybody. I'm Isa, Bonnie and Len's son. Thank you for joining us today.
And Amardeep.
Hi, my name is Amardeep. I'm a live stream producer, and I run a business over at streamguru.net.
Thank you. In addition to hosting this class on Zoom, we are simultaneously broadcasting it on YouTube Live. So if you experience any issues in Zoom, you can always go to the class on YouTube Live. We will post a link in the chat to the YouTube Live video in just a moment. You can also find the link to the YouTube Live video in the same email that has your Zoom link. If you haven't already introduced yourself in the Zoom or YouTube Live chat, please take a moment to do so now. We'd love to know where you're from, who you are, and it's also a really nice way that we can say hi to each other before each class. For those of you attending the class in Zoom, at the bottom of your screen in Zoom, you have an icon called chat and one called Q&A. If you have a question for Bonnie about the material she presents in class today, please type it into the Q&A. And Bonnie will take some time towards the end of class to respond to as many questions as she can. And if you are joining Bonnie in YouTube Live and have a question about the material that Bonnie presents, please type it into the chat and we'll get them there. A few guidelines for the chat. Advertising your class's events or services in the chat is not permitted. This is a space for sharing your experiences, thoughts, and questions about the material Bonnie's presenting. In Zoom, if you would like to share something with the entire group, choose to all panelists and attendees in the drop-down menu in the chat drop-down menu before you send your message. If you would like to share something with just panelists, which is Bonnie and her team, choose to all panelists in the drop-down menu in the chat before you send your message. If you would like to disable Zoom chat pop-ups, please go to our Fall Series resource page to see a short video on how to do that. The link to the Fall resource page is in the email with your Zoom and YouTube Live links, and we'll also include it in the email we send you later today. So without further ado, here's Bonnie. Enjoy.
I want to say good morning, but for some of you, it's good night and maybe even in the middle of the night. So thank you for coming. We are all here in the same place at different times, but in the same time. Before starting presenting on Zoom, I had the idea about the world and that we are one. But I didn't experience, well, I traveled many countries and could feel it then. But on Zoom, I can't see you, I can't hear you, can't touch, but I do feel you. I feel the circle that when we hold hands, can we hold hands virtually? That we're circling the planet. I mean, we're around the earth in night and day and morning and evening, just yeah, I have to let go because I have to use my hands. When you put, I've read this, I didn't experience what I want to say, but apparently if you put heart cells in a petri dish or nerve cells in a petri dish, they'll form a community, they'll form a network. And that network will stay the same unless you change the field, the vibrational field. So I feel like we can change the field in the planet to form through energy connections that are confused locally and internationally, whatever local is. You may be far away to me, but I'm far away to you. But somehow we can connect in a very different way. And I also long, as I'm sure you do, when we can snuggle together and in the flesh. But maybe this field is important now. It is, because that's what we have, to change the field. So when we can come together more harmoniously. That's a prayer anyway, we can all hold. Yeah, thank you for coming. Welcome to my home, my corner, and thank you for welcoming me into your home, your corner. I realize that I'm a guest in your home, your place of shelter. I know some people, it's on your deck, I heard, wherever it is. Thank you. I like to begin also a few minutes or a few moments even of just sitting quietly. And I was telling Len before we start, I get totally empty and I think, oh my God, what am I going to do? Nothing. But then if I return to that nothing and just sit with it for a few moments, the field changes, hopefully. Let's hope so. Okay. I could feel you sitting quietly or lying or standing, just, excuse me. Our air is not very good here and we have a air purifier. Okay, sorry. So this series is about our spine and how we can free it. So it's really free. If you put your hand on top of your head, because your spine includes your skull as well, how can your spine be free? The main problem is not that our spine isn't free, but that we're holding it. Can you hold it, be proper, and then free it? That means not holding your belly, hold your belly in, and then you can't really free your spine. You have to let your belly go, not to let it fall out, then your spine has no energy, but to Not lift your sternum. Your spine can't be free. Release your sternum. Don't drop it, but let it rest. Same with your shoulders. If they're up, you can't free your spine. You have to just not fall forward, but find where your spine is free. And then the legs. So we're actually going to start with the pelvis. So I saw that many of you, and I thank you for coming back, were in the summer series or the free class. That free class is still available for anyone who wishes to see it freely. The series is also, it's not free anymore. If you took it, it was free if you needed, but it's still available. There are also many, I don't know many, but a number of free classes that I made based on what we were covering that would be there for everybody. I love that through Zoom, everybody can come, no matter where you live or what your economics are. There's no restriction, but you do need internet, so that is a restriction for some people. So let's hold the connection so everybody can have access to living, to life. What's going to come out? I think I'm going to start with structure. Oh, I know what I was thinking before I forgot. In the summer, we focused primarily on the thorax, the lungs, the heart, and the face, and the cranial nerves. So now we did a little bit with liver, but now we're going to focus mainly on the lower body for a while, and then we'll hopefully put it together. I'm going to stand. And I guess you can see, most of us know what the skeleton looks like. That was different in the summer when we were exploring the voice and the throat or the concha. A lot of people didn't know they existed. And so to embody something, it's helpful to know that it exists, or you can embody it in place without knowing the structure. But in this case, I would like to point out the structure, which most of us know about already. I digress, by the way, if this is new. When I first started studying anatomy formally, it was 1958, it's a long time ago. And the pelvic bone was called the innominate bone, the bone with no name. And then it was the pelvic half of the pelvis, because somehow this had to do with sexuality, unmentionables, that it's a bone, it's a pelvic bone, and we have two of them. We have a right one and we have a left one. This skeleton is, could use some freeing of the spine, but thank you. Doing the best you can. So this pelvic bone has a flared part here called the ilium. It has this lower part called the ischium, and then these are called the sit bones. The ischial tuberosity is what we sit on. And then in the front, I know you have anatomy books, you'll be able to see this more clearly maybe than here. And this is the pubis. So the pubis, the ilium, and the ischium. Now this skeleton's alignment is like this. That's probably why the spine is difficult. And I have another model, and I'm sorry I have to get it. I thought I was prepared, but I forgot something. So in comparison to the one that's held here, well, you have to maybe look from the front. I don't know where you can see it, but it's frozen. This one is still mobile. This is the disc. And if you hold a pelvis, you have your own, but if you have one outside of your body, and you hold it, it settles vertically. So the sit bones are heavy. They're weighted. And the skeletons, when they put them together, they put them this way. I don't know who the first person was who did this, but everybody followed it. So what? So our organs, this is a little bit too big a ball, but our organs sit in the pelvis. And if you're sitting this way or standing the way they put the skeleton, then your organs are falling into your, horizontally into your belly. And then you have to hold in your belly, and that tightens your spine. So the key is to find the freedom of the pelvic bones. And this is another disadvantage we have in English-speaking lineage. And America began with many native languages, but in the our science, it began with the British English. And in that literature in English, it says that at the sacroiliac joint, the sacrum, which is part of the spine, that there's no movement here, it can just move off. But I was told, this I don't know for sure, that in French and Italian, they know there's movement here. So anatomy is cultural, it's historic. And what my path has been to embody cellularly the tissue to see what in fact they have to say about themselves. I have to pause because I'm very spermy. We have the sperm of ourself, which is moving fast, creative, and then we have the egg. Egg time. And some of us are more egg more of the time. And some of us are more spermy. I have to be more spermy, so you eggs are going to have to hang in there with me. So we have a pelvic bone and another pelvic bone, and then we have the sacrum, which is part of the spine. Then, and there's lots of movement there, and that's what I want to share today. There's lots of movement here, other than just having a sacroiliac strain. Then in the front and the pubis, there's a disc. I had to make one there. It's not very good. It's rather loose. But this pubic disc is between the right and the left pelvic bones. So now let's see if we can carry that to the skeleton. So we have the right pelvic bone, and motion me forward, the pubis, and then the pubic disc and the other pubis. It's also called the pubic ramus. And then we have this wonderful bowl shape here for our organs. And you can see how this one is tilted forward, so they would need muscles to come back instead of that they're resting neutrally. So I can't move this. It's held. And I hope at the end of this session, if you're holding your spine, that you'll be able to release it. So I've mentioned 2 pelvic bones, pubic disc, and the sacrum. Now, at the bottom of the sacrum, we have coccyx, or we have our tail. And I have another model here. We'll look at this more another day. But when these are the nerves. Shall I back up a little bit? The spine is flexible. This is the spinal cord running down the central canal, and the nerves coming off. This is a problem. We don't want, for now, leave that. Coming down, here's the sacrum, and you see the spinal cord here, and you see the spinal cord here. There's a, it doesn't show it, but there's another piece that would go on top of this, because the nerve isn't exposed to the outside. It's in the middle, but it doesn't have a piece here. So the spinal cord goes to the middle, to the canal of the sacrum. So here, this piece, they've nailed it in. That would lift off, and the nerves are inside there in the canal. I think that's all that I want to say. So let me demonstrate, and then I'll ask you to move. I tighten my pants here. Here's the pubic disc. Feel your own pubic disc. It's right in the center here. You can touch yourself. And then you have the pubis. This is the big fanning of the ilium. And then if you lift up, the sit bones are here. So that those of you who might not, I have to use the little one, because this is locked, that here's the pubic ramus. You can feel the front part of it. And then it goes down on an upside down coccyx there, an upside down V to the sit bone. When you look from the side, the sit bones are more in the front. The spine is in the back. But the sit bones are more in the front, and then the pelvic floor, which we'll look at another time, pelvic diaphragm, integrates them. So with your hand on your pubis, see if you can feel movement of your 2 pelvic bones here. We're not talking about movement here. We're talking about movement in the front, so that this leg is connected to this pelvic bone, and this leg is connected to this pelvic bone. And you move them at the pubic symphysis, the joint on the right side, pubic symphysis, and on the left side. And that's different if you hold this as a unit and move your legs. Play with that with me. And if you're lying in bed or on the couch, wherever you are, you can do it lying or standing. You could do it sitting also. Do it your way. But can you move here? if you're holding your belly in, you really can't. You need to let your belly go. We'll be looking at that also another day. Because wherever you're holding, your spine is held. So to free the spine, we need to find out how other things move to support it. So if I bring my leg back, I can't see it because of the chat. I'm just going to move my leg. I hope you can see me. I'm moving my femur, the thigh bone, that bone. But when I move my pelvic half, I'm much further back. So this is my leg at the hip joint, and this is my pelvis at the sacroiliac. So if I want to step forward from my hip joint, I'm here. But if I step forward from I lose words sometimes, from the pubic symphysis, I'm going to be much freer than if I just do my hip. Can you do that and then see what you feel like? I don't know, for myself, I feel much straighter now on this side. This side's kind of curled in still. So my spine is freer than it is over here because it's not connected. Well, it's connected, but I don't know a better word. Frozen. It's not stuck. Maybe stuck is a better English word. So I see the chat thing there. So here I'm just moving my hip joint, femur, and here I'm moving focus on the front. Don't focus on the back, and I'll explain that shortly. Because, I'll do it right now. The two legs, embryologically, are the pelvic bones to the feet. And they develop on the side of the embryo, and in my mind, at the end of the last couple of sessions, we'll look at the embryology more, but because I sperm all over it, we could do it sooner. But the side creates the arms, the legs, those we hear in the summer, the face, and the vocal structure. They're peripheral limbs, the tongue, where the spine, the cranium from here down to the coccyx, it develops in the center of the embryo. So this is a central, well, they did the same side. This is central. I'm sorry. I'm sitting in the center. This is peripheral. This is coming from the side body. So I could bend my leg up at the hip joint, or I bring it up from the pelvis, not from the side, but sagittal. So again, this would be bringing up from the hip joint, and then from the pelvis, from the pelvic bone, or reaching back from here and then reaching back. Now, one way to tell if you're moving in your pelvic bones, which are the support of the spine, or if you're moving the spine, is to put your finger on your navel, your belly button, and just move your leg. You're abducting. Now abduct your pelvic bone. If you adduct, bring it across just your leg, or you bring across balance. You see, I did what I want you to see, but I didn't do it on purpose. if I do this and my pelvis and spine are connected, then my body's going to tilt. But if I do it in the pelvis, the other one stays in line. And I see someone said sidelying, and that's the next exploration. But I want you to see it first standing. I'm not sure how to show lying on the ground. So your leg from the femur, and then from the pelvis, and then abducting from the hip joint, and then abducting from the pelvis. And if you lock the spine, the base of the spine to the pelvis, then your spine is going to tilt. Instead of that, be free. Be free so that you have lots of movement in your two legs from the pelvis, from the pelvic bones, rather than every time you lift your leg, your spine has to flip as well. And that leads to sacroiliac problems, which I know many of you have had. I also slipped a disc many years ago lifting an old, heavy, big dog. Ben was a chiropractor and he brought it back, but I've had to be aware of it for decades and to learn about how not to stress it from the legs. Another problem, many people having hip replacements or arthritis in the hips because of this locking between the spine and the pelvic bones. So the pelvic cavity I have to let it, this is not, anyway, smaller ball would have been better. But the pelvic cavity is made up of the pelvic bones and the sacrum and the tail of the coccyx, of the spine. I also see that there are people helping, and I see Sarah and Margie's name. There are others, but I'm not watching. I just occasionally see you're helping out. Thank you. All right, I think we'll go to sidelying. Or maybe first, just play for a minute. Just really play. And that when you take a step, instead of just stepping here, you step here, 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 that you're moving, and your spine is free. Instead of that, you're holding this together, and then your spine isn't free. In yoga, very often before doing any asanas, I'll see people tighten the spine. And now we're going to do whatever. Instead of, no, the spine is free. It's the central channel. It's the Sushumna Nadi. Don't tighten it. You want blood, fluids, cerebral spinal fluid to flow through the spine, not to be proper. Don't touch. Very good. Are you having fun? I hope so. Faith, trust, you're taking care of yourself. Okay, I'm going to lie down now on my side. It's one of the great ways to explore the pelvic bones to the legs, to the feet. And when we lie on our side, we are energizing the lateral lines of the body. So the midline, we want to focus. And then from the summer, you put your tongue behind your upper teeth, and you focus. You want to lift something heavy, focus. But if you want to smile and your tongue is behind your upper teeth, a little bit difficult. Let your tongue widen. Let it rest on the floor of your mouth where it originated. And then we explore the tongue is extremely mobile and it will affect the pelvic bones. So if you're holding in your mouth, hold it. You feel your, can't move. So release your tongue. It has side lines, lateral lines, same way we have lateral lines. Okay. I'm gonna go down, see how this works. I have a helper here. Some of you met Rosie this summer. I should introduce her to those of you who don't know her yet. This is Rosie. You might have a pillow or you could use your arm, but Rosie assists me always. Okay. So one of the first things is when you lie on your side, and this would be helpful to be above, but that's it, gang. And to be able to roll in such a way that your spine is free, but you're not falling out all over the place. Now, some of you will be falling out all over the place, and that's because of organ imbalances. This one's falling this way, this one's falling that way, this one's falling this way, that's falling that way. So, excuse me. This is a practice of just lying on the side. In fact, Rosie, I'm going to move you over. For those people who can lie like this, many people can't. And maybe you even have to lie this way. Whatever way you have to lie, you lie the way you lie, not what I'm saying. Thanks, Rosie. I just like to be comfortable here. Feel my friend. So lying on the side, see if you're holding. If you're holding or you're not holding and you're falling all over, then your spine isn't receiving the energy, life force, as much as it could. It's obviously receiving life force. You're breathing, you're still alive, your spine is fine. But if it could be more vital, then you might just explore being on your side and not doing anything, but is it free? And if you hold here, oh, I have to hold my belly in, then maybe I'm lying here, but I'm closing off the energy, the vitality. So let yourself breathe. And yes, your belly may be bigger than you would ideally like. If that's, I don't know, as I've gotten older, my belly got bigger and it may be healthier for me. I'm not sure the way it is. Love it. Breathing. So lying this way, just breathing. If you need support, I don't have, you might, she's very flexible, maybe, and does all these wonderful postures. You might put something to support wherever you need supporting. And use different pillows, use blankets, whatever you have, use balls, Gertie. We have Gertie balls in the States. I heard you don't have them in other places, so whatever you have. Anyway, once you, this is a practice to find your lateral line. And in front of your lateral line are your flexor muscles, and the back of the lateral line are your extensor muscles. It's where we separate and integrate the front body and the back body, and in between them is the middle body. So we are energizing the middle body. Now, in the same way, I don't know if I'm going to hit something. I am. Excuse me. I have to get used to this Zoom business too. Yeah. So if I'm just moving, and it can be along the floor, my hip, and you can do your hip too, and notice if your belly button is moving, leave your belly button where it is, leave your navel, and move your leg, this part of your leg, your femur. Then move your pelvic bone. So femur, and then pelvic bone. I'm not arching my back. If the belly button stays where it is, if your navel stays where it is, then your spine isn't taking the stress. Again, move from the front, don't move from the back. I didn't explain that yet. So many things like this. I'm going to pause because I want to point out something. I have a drawing here, and Basha will put that in your account. I don't know how to do that, but she will. This is showing how the pubic disc is the keystone between your two legs. So any movement between your legs passes through the front of your pelvis. When you want to integrate your pelvic and your legs, then you go through the sacroiliac joint. So this is between the spine and the two legs. And you will have these two drawings in your account. So when I'm talking about moving your pelvic bones, I'm talking about moving them from the front. And I'll do something and then I'll lay down again. Now you're just going to see the bottom of me. When I move from the front, I'm moving between my legs. If I do my legs from the back, I'm stiffening my spine. So now I'm transferring the weight through my sacrum, and now I'm transferring it through the pubis. So again, I'm going to do it through the sacrum, which is, we're taught in the books that that's the keystone. That was done through someone looking at probably a cadaver or skeleton that wasn't breathing, and then said, well, that's how it moves. No, it's here. So that when you're moving your legs, that you move through the pubic disc. This is where the action's happening, not here. If it's happening here, then you go to the back. The back is secondary when you integrate the legs with the spine. I'm seeing a little bit this freezing. I'm sorry about that. So where was I? Here. So when you're moving your leg from the hip joint, or you're moving it from the movement is easy, the words, from the pubic symphysis, check that your navel isn't going forward and back. So that your lateral line is not broken, but you don't, if you hold yourself in, then your spine is stuck. You want to keep your spine loose. Now, another way is to abduct, and abduct at the hip joint. That's about as far as I go. And then from here, not from here, move your pelvic half. So my spine is still free, but my navel didn't go anywhere. And then for those of you who are more in dance or yoga, you can explore it at a higher level. This stays stable, not because you hold it, but because you're not moving it. This is what you're moving. So I'm going to stop talking for my sake and yours. It looks like I'm bent, but if you looked at me, I'm straight. It looks funny on the screen. Play with it, will you? Then we'll change sides. And again, if you can't, again, I don't know. If you can't, you just stay here, it's fine. Just do the slightest thinking of the movement in your brain, but then transfer that thinking to your cells. You don't have to go anywhere. You can just play with it at this level. You don't have to show off. I like to show off. I did a painting in the summer of a crane showing off, and I felt like a self-portrait. You can keep your foot on the floor, or you can lift it. The smaller you do it, the deeper it'll probably be, because you'll be using the very small muscles. Free. And in the beginning, I remember the first class I did lying on the side was in the 60s with Jean Erdman. Some of you will know that name. She danced with Martha Graham, and then she had her own company, married to Joseph Campbell, the philosopher. She had us lying on our side, and I was falling all over the place. I thought, wow, that's interesting. I want to learn how to do that. So maybe you're frustrated. Change it to, gee, that's interesting. That's something to learn. And also carefully, you don't squeeze your butt. You'll use it, but don't squeeze it. It'll just cut off your lower chakra. And to come up, you can come up along that side. Wish I could really see you. I can feel that you're out there, but I feel you doing it, but I want to see you too. Yeah, well, another time. All right, change sides. Oops, I lost my... During the pandemic, I'm letting my hair grow in a way it hasn't grown in years. I have to get used to it again. Thanks, Rosie. Actually, thanks for your help. I think I want to do it this way. All right, so first, just rest. Some of you may not be resting or like that, but whatever you're doing, I'm calling it rest. Sloppy rest. Just don't have a held rest. Let yourself be where you are. Because that's where that's where we begin, is where we are. So breathing. Is your spine free? Free your spine. The freeing of the spine is not holding it. It's not doing something. It's letting go of something. Often many things. Okay. So moving from the hip joint, or maybe you just start moving just to move and see what happens. And if you want to bend this leg and make it easier, I like to make it hard. Then let your hip movement move into your pelvic movement. So this would be hip joint. This is pubic symphysis. Again, touch yourself, it's fine. It's legal. And your belly button stays where it is, or your navel, rather than it's falling forward and back. This is moving your hip bone, not hip bone, pelvic bone. And then you can also explore the lateral line, where you have your leg from your hip joint here. Hip joint is right deep in here. And then from the hip joint, and then from the pubic symphysis, your this is where I could use translation in English. Your leg from your hip, and then your leg from your pelvis, from your pelvic bone. Then you can also turn out, in and out, from the hip joint, and then in and out from the pelvic bone. If you put your hand on your ilium, you'll feel that it's going out and then it's going in. It's a lot of movement, and it's happening here from the front. So I know there's at least one chiropractor, maybe others, they're osteopaths. And when there's a sacroiliac problem, it'll just go back if you don't free the pubic symphysis, because this is the joint for the pelvis. And when this is free, then this moves automatically. The control isn't here, the control is here. And I should say where it is, because some people might have a frozen screen. I'm sorry if that's happening. If you move from the pubic symphysis, that's where you initiate the movement. And then the back at the sacroiliac responds. Rather than that, you don't trust anything I say, do it. And if you find it different, that's the truth. This is not the truth that I'm saying, it's my experience. You have to find your experience. But if you started in the back, my experience is you'll end up with problems, but you have to find out if that's true or it's just my particular situation. So then you can do it, play in all different ways, and just check that your navel stays quiet. Have fun. You can lift your feet off the floor on the lateral line. This is establishing lateral line. A key will be that you don't feel any local holding. So my whole body is here, and my spine is free. And I can go forward, and I can go backward, and I can come sideways. Because I'm integrating my movement rather than saying, well, this is where you lift here and you hold here, and then you do this, and then you do local things with the muscles. Find the bones and the muscles follow. So I will say a little bit about embryology as we go through the fall series, if I remember from one moment to the next, because I just forgot. Yes, I know. When we develop our arms, which includes scapula to hand, and when we develop our legs, pelvic bone to foot, they're developing it as a unit. They are developed as a unit. All the parts are doing something differently, but they're all developing as a unit. So when we say scapula down, it's down in relation to what? what's happening in the rest of the limb when you bring the scapula down, or if you lift it up. It's not a position. You can bring it forward or back. It's in relationship to the whole limb. So the leg is in relationship to the whole leg. I just disappeared. Play for a few moments, and then I want to bring out one more exploration. So in the week, if you're interested, you have lots to practice. It is a practice. It's not something, oh yeah, I got that. I want to get that. It always is different. It's not, it's not an answer. It's a question. I hear it's freezing. I'm so sorry. Lots of people are using Zoom, and it'll get better. Hopefully when we have the recording, we'll be able to move in another part of the video for that. So I have one more. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I don't have full use of this hand. And as a child, it was medically called a claw hand. They wouldn't say that today. So even though another year I'll be 80, my hand opens more with every passing day. So don't hold on to the labels of any kind. We live as a practice. But what I want to say when I lower my hand to the floor, well, it's get pretty good. I never did that before, but normally I have to go like that. Well, it's getting more open even with your help and the rays around the planet. Thank you. So, a little sweaty. I'm going to go on to my hands and feet. I can't look at you, so then I'm going to bring this leg, I'm going to move my head forward. You see my head is going forward and my leg is coming forward, and then I'm going to move my leg through. I'll do my other leg. I'm going to bring my head goes forward, my knee goes forward, and then I'm moving it through. And what I'm wanting to show is that as my pelvis comes through, I'm not dropping my spine. You could do it from the hands and knees also. You bring your head and knee forward and then cross over, sweaty. And then you can lift because your spine is not connected in a held way to your pelvis, to your pelvic bones. So if I use the word pelvis, the spine forms part of that cavity, but it doesn't form part of the legs. The pelvic bones are peripheral bones. The sacrum to head is central. So, really sweaty. Sliding. So you can make a turn this way if that would help. I'm going to go forward with my hands. I'm not just moving my hip joint. I'm moving my body and my knee. And then I carry it through. So that if you're holding your sacrum to your pelvis and you go forward, you'll fall because your spine is locked to your pelvic bones. Can you play with that? I'm thinking if you're lying, and if, I know there are people who can't do this either for whatever reason. Maybe you could take a pillow or something And, oh yeah, this is a good one. See how it'll show. I'm going to turn away from you. I don't know if you'll hear me, but can you hear me? I don't know. I can't see you. If I keep my, I'll try to do it this way. If I keep my pelvic bones and spine connected, when I bring my leg forward, my spine is going to curve. But if I separate them, then my spine can stay level rather than that. I think I'm kind of finished. So take your time. We've done several things. We did it standing and also locomotion, if there's room. It's a little bit hard on this green business. Freeing your spine by freeing the pelvic support. And the sacrum is not a support of the spine, it is the spine. It's the pelvic bones that are the support of the spine, not the sacrum. That causes a lot of pain. So I went around again. Standing, side lying. You can also do it lying on your back and just bringing your hip, your leg from the hip, and then including the pelvic bone. You can, I'll do the other side. This is just the hip joint is here. It's very close to the pubic symphysis. And then you move from the pubic symphysis, your leg. You can take it out to the side. I don't know if this is a great view, but what I want to show you is that when you take your leg out to the side, if you roll over, then you haven't separated your spine from your pelvic bone. That your leg can go out to the side without you falling over, because your pelvic bones are moving from your from your pubic symphysis and not from your sacrum. Take a few more minutes. Oh, I said I was going through. We did standing, we did locomotion, we just did lying on the back, lying on the stomach, on the hands and knees, hands and feet, and side lying. So lying on the side, the front, the back. Here's another one. And then you make up your own. If I come from my hip joint, I'm here. If I come from the pubic symphysis, I'm here. Hip joint. Now, if I do hip joint and then I connect the pelvic bone to my spine, I'm going to arch. Here, I'm not arching. I still have a free spine. My sit bones are still here. They're not here. There's still, my central axis is still free. So if I look frozen, I'm just not moving. Your camera's okay. Okay, I think, Basha, we could spend this time with questions, no answers, but responses. And I would ask that when you're speaking, that I could see you on the screen. And when I'm speaking, I see me on the screen. Sometimes when I'm speaking, I'm seeing you. When you're speaking, I'm seeing me. I get confused. So I don't know how that works. But okay, thank you. All right, gang, if you have questions, that's great. No answers, promise. I hope not. I apologize if I do.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for your questions. I'm going to start off with some questions. We've had people who've had questions about the core. And so I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit about what you mean by core. Some of the questions have been about activating the core, whether people should activate it or not activate it. I'm not entirely clear on what they mean by activate the core. So if you could clarify what you mean by core, maybe that will help them in their questions.
Yeah, I feel that what I've observed is that what a lot of people mean by, a lot of people, not everybody, to activate the core means to pull in and hold. My experience is that it can lead to severe problems. That's my experience. Because when you go like this, you're cutting off the fluid circulation. And it squeezes the fluid out of the area. I think it can lead to hip replacement problems. It can lead to low back problems. It can lead to urogenital, digestive, when you squeeze the core. On the other hand, what I'm hoping to share is what I found over the years of aging. I'm into aging now because I'm aging. How to stay liquid, how to stay fluid, how to stay strong so that you can get up. If I go up too high than the camera, I'll go higher than the camera. You can still jump, that you still have levity and can fool around. Not just be serious, but if you want to be serious, you can be serious too. But when you start to make this, squeeze the, I've got fat here. Hopefully it's moving, it's jolly. To energize, and in particular, the spine, that it's not held. It's not proper. You want to be proper? All right. You can be proper. Well, I don't know if I'm proper, but you could be proper. And down again. Disappear. How to feel gravity. How to feel space. How to feel alive. How to accept who we are. How to be who we are. Accept how other people are. Create this. There's energy and there's structure. Before we're born and after we die, there's energy. I don't know what forms, but there's energy. It's not the physical body. But now the energy is in the body, and how do we, in our core, feel our energetic soul or our spirit, and how do we find the movement of this organism? Like the, what is it? I met one once. What's that one? Octopus. It knew so much more than I did. I saw it through a glass, by the way. I could only make eye contact so long, and then it was so deep, I said, I'm sorry. I don't know that depth yet. So for me, core is moving. Everything is alive. Not abduction. Oh dear, I went too fast, sorry. More egg-like. little sperm. It doesn't have a name. It's spiralic. Core. Don't you just love being free? If you want to have a strong core, and if it means holding, then do it. But if you want to have if I go too fast, if you want to be strong and lively, it's not about local holding, it's about core. Yumminess. That's my, not answer, but my experience. How do we become freer as we get older instead of stiffer and more limited? I can move today in ways I couldn't move when I was in my 20s, and I moved in my 20s ways that I can't move today. They're different periods of life. But I have more juiciness now than I had then. You're on, Basha.
All right. Next question. You've spoken, you've mentioned the words pubic and pubic symphysis. Could you clarify a bit the roles of the pubic bones there and the soft tissue disc?
Can I do it sitting down? And then since I have to come forward. And I have to come, I'll stand, all right, I'll stand. All right, this is I'm gonna put my hand around the pubis on each side. Now I'm putting my hand around the ischia. Ischium sits bones, ischial tuberosity. The tuberosity is a sticking out part. And this is the ilium. So when you look at the hip joint, it's made up of the ischium, the ilium, and the pubis. All three bones make up the hip joint. And then the femur hangs from that, or suspends. This is also together called the pubic ramus. And this is the pubic disc. So the pubic symphysis is composed of two joints. I'm going to be opposite you. This is the right pubic symphysis or joint, and this is the left pubic symphysis or joint. So there are two joints at the pubic symphysis. One for the right leg, one for the left leg. And then when you turn it around, how the leg joins the spine is at the sacrum. And you have an ilium, sacroiliac joint on one side, and the sacroiliac joint on the other side. And that's the relationship between the legs and the spine, not between the two legs. I just thought of another movement. I'm going to share. So I'm standing. This is my ballet bar. If I don't fall over, the chat, that'll maybe be better. I have a stage manager here. If I move at my hip joint, my spine, no, not my spine, I don't mean my spine, my brain is going down, my pubic, my pelvis at the pubic, no, that's not what I'm moving. I'm moving my pelvic bone at my hip joint. Thank you, Bonnie. Now I'm going to add moving so I'm stuttering. That's one of my challenges in life. I have to do it a few times to get my brain language with my movement. Here's my femur. Here's my pelvic bone. And I'm moving my pelvic socket around the ball of the femur. Now I'm going to leave that there. And I'm going to move my pubis and my spine. I was right, it is my spine. I'm going to move them. You see here, I don't know how to explain it differently. My brain is not connecting. Maybe somebody there in chat can explain what I'm doing. I'm moving my pelvis on my femur. But now I'm going to move my spine on my sacrum and my disc. I'm moving here. And I'm moving here. And so I'm much taller now on this side than I am on this side. I'll do it again. And if you can do it without my explanation, maybe somebody online can help me. I've now opened into the lateral line. And I'm going to swing my pelvis around my femur here. And that's as far as I can go, but I want to actually go further. So now I'm taking the sacrum and my pubic disc, and I'm moving them. And now I move them, and then I move my pelvis. If you do it, I think it'll make more sense, I hope. Now I forget what the question was. Oh, to clarify. I think I clarified. And then I wanted to add a movement for you to explore. So it's not just words. I think another question, we still have time.
Great. We have lots more. We have a lot of more questions. Could you speak and show how people might be able to modify the side lying position for those unable to lie on their side with their arms and legs out straight, or even if people are not able to lie on the floor?
Yes. I do this every day in bed. Before I get out of bed, I might get out and pee and then come back. But because I am getting old, so if I don't have a practice, I will just dry up and become old. But living is a practice. It's just simply is a practice. So I'm going to get pillows, blankets, friends like Rosie. I'm going to get another friend. Could you hand me, I'll get it, Barney. So this is Barney. You didn't meet Barney yet. Hello. Happy to meet you. Hi, Rosie. Got you. Got you. All right. So you gather around whatever you need, or say a person is pregnant. There are lots of people in lots of situations. Maybe you'll put all kinds of things so that someone's comfortable. And Rosie's she practices yoga all the time. She's great. And you just get where you're comfortable. And don't do anything. Breathe. And when we can touch each other, it's great, because then someone really can just receive. But now we're doing our own touching. except some people are still offering sessions and going to sessions. And then I would say, just put your hands on somebody. Don't do anything. We have a new video coming out on hands touch. Don't do anything. But you can put your hands on yourself. And this is such a great thing. This is just such a great thing. Where can you let go? You do this with me, otherwise it's a performance. It's kind of a strange one, right? So do it yourself. Find some way to, with pillows or something, and just let go. Let go of the manipulating from the outside how you think you should be. And what I'm sharing is a lifetime of searching my cells. Who are you? Who am I? How does this work? And rather than from the brain down, although we're using the brain down. And then those of you who are new to this, we spent quite a bit of time opening the back of the brain. Sensation comes in through the back and the motor nerves come out through the front. That's just the way the nervous system is set up. And so you open the back so that you can receive from the cells information into the brain instead of the brain focusing is motor. This is how you should be, body. We're also doing that. This is the pubis, this is moving from here, this is moving from there. We're using this, but receiving the information through the back of the brain of where we actually are instead of where we wish we were or we wish somebody else was. Just be restful. In a way, it's about love. How do you accept and love, deeply care about the way it is? Our cells are really doing their best. And then what? Usually when you really feel how something is, it starts doing its own thing. When somebody says, how do you feel? I don't know. Well, just feel how you feel. I don't know. And all of a sudden you start to feel something. And then maybe move the pillow with your hand, or in this case, Barney. And let Barney move my leg. And I just feel my leg moving. And then as Barney keeps moving my leg, instead of Barney moving my leg and then I start moving my leg, no, let Barney, when you feel how your leg moves, how Barney moves your leg, then let your leg move in that way. Don't change it. Barney's still moving my leg. I'm not going into my muscles. I might not get up. It's comfortable. When your arms and your legs develop, the bones develop locally. In other words, we'll look at that later, but the bones and the ligaments are an extension of the bone, the fascia. It's all the same material originally, the mesenchyme, undifferentiated middle body. We'll look at that. But when the form is complete, when the form is about complete, then the muscles come from the center. They come from the same place as the vertebrae, the somites, and they migrate in for movement. But they don't align the bones. The bones are aligned by the ligaments and the tendons. The ligaments was what connects the bones. The tendons attach the muscles to bone. And until I studied embryology, I thought that tendons and muscles were the same structure. They don't arise as the same structure. They become the same structure. So the tendons are part of the local architecture. And they tell the muscles where to attach. So I read many, many years ago, I think it was Tai Chi, pretty sure it was in Tai Chi, which I studied in the 70s, 60s, 70s, to move from the tendons and ligaments. And I didn't realize till I studied embryology that that is the local architecture, not the muscles, that they guide the muscles. But somehow in Western science, and science is cultural, it's also gender. It's put on, I don't mean all, I just mean it was done from a certain viewpoint. That then the muscles became what you do to move the architecture. But the architecture knows itself. And then the muscles, as soon as they come in, the architecture can move. But then the muscles take over and tell the architecture what it should do, and then it messes up the architecture and it ages it. And I think I get off my soapbox.
All right.
Guys, I think that's probably the end. Is
Yeah.
it?
Yes, that's all the time we have for questions today. Thank you everyone for your questions. And although we're not able to get to all of them, Bonnie does read them after class. We're going to show two illustrations now in just a moment. These are illustrations that Bonnie drew and showed a little bit earlier in the class. You have black and white versions of these illustrations in your account on our website, in the same place that you'll be able to watch the class recordings. There's also a video called 2020 Fall Series Colored Illustrations in your account that shows the colored versions of the illustrations, so you can see how Bonnie colored hers. We have a brief copyright notice. The illustrations and all material you receive from us are copyrighted material of Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen. No part of the documents or videos, either text or image, may be used for any purpose other than personal use. These documents are for your use in your own study of the material. You may not share them with others, post them on social media, website, blogs, use them in your classes, or print and hand them out. And we greatly appreciate you respecting Bonnie's copyright. And here are the two illustrations. And that brings us to the end of class if you would like to close.
See you next time.
See you next Thursday. And if you're interested, I just realized I'm on another Zoom thing on Saturday with the Body Mind Centering Association, which is going on right now with many wonderful presenters. And maybe I'll see you there. Meanwhile, have a great week, and for all the ways that you are being, be well. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you for a wonderful class, and thank you everyone for being here. We are still accepting registrations for Bonnie's fall series. Please help us to spread the word. We are keeping the scholarship applications and payment plan options available. We would like everyone to be able to attend Bonnie's fall series regardless of financial situation. And we are very excited to share that we have received and accepted over 700 scholarship applications so far. Our Pay from the Heart scholarship offers people scholarship assistance based on what they are able to pay. So we hope that you would share the scholarship with anyone you might know that would be interested in studying with Bonnie in her fall series and needs financial support to be able to attend. We also have a Pay from the Heart scholarship support page. The Pay from the Heart scholarship is a community project looking at how we can all support one another as individuals and also as a community. If you would like to help support the registration of those who need the scholarship to attend Bonnie's fall classes, you can help support the registration on the Support the Scholarship page on our website. We have a page on our website called Fall Series Resources that lists resources and important information for participants of her Fall Series classes. This includes links to somatizations, videos, the free class that Bonnie taught to start off her summer series that she mentioned in the beginning of class, and also some other resources, as well as instructions on how to access class recordings and our chat guidelines. And we will add to this page as the fall series unfolds. Answers to many frequently asked questions can be found on the fall series FAQ page. Please take some time to read through this page. Many of the questions that we receive are answered on that page. And we will include a link to both the fall series resource page and the frequently asked questions page in the email we send you later today. This class is being recorded, and the recording will be made available to everyone who registered for the fall series. The recording will be made available through online streaming on our website, and you will have unlimited access to it even after the fall series is over. We will send you an email when the class recording is ready to be viewed. It usually takes us 1 to 2 days after the class to have the video ready. And we do add English language captions to the videos as soon as we receive the caption file from the captioning company. If you are interested in deepening your understanding of the material that Bonnie presents in each class, we encourage you to watch the class recordings, even if you have attended the live classes. There have been some questions in the chat today of whether or not we're going to share the chat. And we do not make the chat available, and that is for privacy reasons. We want people to be able to share freely during the class in the chat. Our emails sometimes go to spam or promotions folders rather than inboxes. A reminder to please regularly check your spam folder, and if you have a Gmail account, to also check your promotions folder. So that's it for announcements. Please stay for a couple more minutes as we put some of the information I just mentioned on the screen. You also have a little longer to communicate with Bonnie and with each other through the Zoom and YouTube live chats. Thank you all for being here. We look forward to being with you again on October 8th. Take care.